Welcome to Right is Wrong with Brian and Tom. Here are Brian and Tom. I'm not sure which is which since I'm a robot. Enjoy!
Fascism in progress. Yes.
Oh, hi.
We almost synced that up, but
That was incredible.
we missed by like a second.
I felt like I was in the recording studio with Brian Eno, and he was
That's a very current reference.
I'm on my way to the tattooist after we finish this to get my 23 skidoo tattoo. Or is it 22 skidoo? No, it's 23 skidoo.
No,
right?
it's 23. There's only one skidoo, and it's 23.
It is 23 skidoo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you hear Christy Noam and Corey Lewandowski have a private like sex cabin in a government plane?
Oh, of course they do.
Yeah. They have
Of course they do. By the way, they're both married. They both remain married.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, if you remove ethics and morality from two human beings, what do you expect them to do? I mean, Lewandowski, and listen, I'm as hetero as the next guy, but he is a fine piece of.
Really? I mean, I'm also hetero, and I find him fucking disgusting, man. He's gross. He's like,
Of course, yeah.
It's like if George Clooney grew up in Chernobyl. You know, I mean, that's what he looks like. He's disgusting. Some people at the Olympics are speaking out, like Hunter Hess. He said, just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the United States.
Which is reasonable.
Fine.
Very reasonable.
It's reasonable. It's not controversial. It's reasonable. And JD Vance is like, you know, these athletes aren't there to pop off about politics.
Yeah.
Pop off. It's like, well, you're the VP. You're not at the Olympics to pop off about sports.
Actually, I think Popov, like Gregor Popov, won the silver in.
I mean, who says pop off?
Nobody. No, you're trying to be cool, and you think it's going to be cool to say Popov. Like, no. First of all, no one says that. Second of all,
no one says that.
Even if they did, you shouldn't, because you're the vice president. Like, try at least one time to speak with some sort of authority and intellect for 1 second.
Well, when he got booed at the Olympics, the close-up of his face, I mean, he looked like he was going to cry.
Oh,
which was great.
He was like a little boy. He looked like a sad little boy.
Anyway, this Hunter Hess guy, what he said is...
Was he the guy who peed in fuck ice in the snow?
I don't know. I'd like to do that.
No, I think it was him.
That's on my bucket list.
Peeing fuck ice in the snow?
Yep.
You could go up to Tahoe this weekend. Hold on. Yeah, it was Hunter Hess.
Oh, it was. Okay, that explains why Trump called him a real loser.
Yeah.
And they say, like LeBron James, the whole shut up and dribble bullshit. How about shut up and grift to these fucking...
No, I know. Like,
just shut up and stay in your lane, man.
He also capitalized loser, so it was a real loser. With
oh, boy, he was really mad.
That must have been...
Every once in a while, when an athlete speaks out, I just think that Colin Kaepernick lost his fucking career because he took a knee. He barely said anything. He just took a knee, you know, just like every single member of Trump's cabinet does when Trump unzips his fly. No, really. I mean, he took a knee and his career's over.
Well,
for what? Peaceful protests.
I also love this guy, Byron Donalds, who
oh my God.
Also,
he's a felon Donald.
He also went off on him and he said, "You chose to wear our flag." Okay, first of all,
no, he didn't.
He lives in the United States and he's an athlete, and so of course he's going to represent. It's not like he was. What country would you like to represent in the Olympics this year? He was the United States of America. I mean, no, he's an athlete.
What jerseys are on sale?
Exactly.
I'll be Uzbekistan.
You chose, this and then the guy went on to say, if that's too hard for you, then go home. And it's like, no, it isn't really hard for him at all. He's expressing an opinion. And if it's too hard for you to hear a criticism, then maybe you shouldn't be in the fucking government.
Exactly. I feel like saying to Byron Donalds, you know, you chose to be a felon and pass bad checks. He's a felon.
Yeah. And also Tim Burchett, who's also...
Oh, the Tennessee guy?
Yeah, he's the worst.
Oh, my God.
He told him to shut up and go play in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's... How mature. I mean,
they just want clicks. They don't want democracy. They want clicks. Clicks lead to power. That's all they care about. As long as they have 1 minute video clip or 10-word tweet, and they can get clicks. That's all they care about. They go to sleep happy.
Yeah, the Olympics have been a relatively good escape from all of this, but even that now has been tainted. And it would have been fine if they had just left it alone. If the guy had just peed fuck ice and they just didn't talk about it and let him do his protests and move on. But then they have to make a whole thing out of it and turn it into an entire 1 week back and forth, you know?
Yep.
And
Well, they can't leave anything alone.
nothing. No.
I mean, because of Trump, Rush Hour 4 is now being made. I'm not kidding, because there's so many unanswered questions in Rush Hour 3.
Wait,
That's
what
just
does
a
that have
movie
to do with
never was made.
why is Trump helping to make Rush Hour 4?
Because he likes it, and he's doing Ratner a favor.
Oh, he liked Rush Hour 3 so much he wants
Yes.
Rush Hour. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a child with a concussion
Yeah,
that has
exactly.
rolled down a mountain for
He's like
10 minutes.
he would be in like the special class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except
People
he would pay somebody else to wear his helmet.
For people that actually misbehave in class.
The reason that I think Trump always brags about passing his cognitive test, the one with identify
woman, camera.
camel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which one's a camel? And I think it's I think it's honestly the first test he's ever taken on his own that he's passed. Because in the past, he has other people.
Right.
They
he
pay other
cheated.
people to take his tests.
Well, he
He
didn't
doesn't
cheat.
take
He didn't
tests.
cheat. He didn't cheat on it, so he's proud of himself. He's
Exactly.
He's basically what he's saying is I passed the only test I've never cheated on, and therefore I'm a genius because I was able to do this thing without cheating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And also that's a dementia test, by the way, that you're taking. They're not
Yes.
Doctors are not giving you. I've been to the doctor many, many, many times, and I've never had a cognitive test. When I have my physical, they just talk to me and they go,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
he's like a normal guy."
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
this cognitive test that they're administering frequently is because he's got a mental issue.
Yes. In
that
fact,
they're checking and looking into.
I think Jeffrey Epstein in either 2017 or 2018 said that Trump had dementia.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's almost a decade ago.
so he's turning a dementia test into he's trying to turn it into a positive by saying I aced my cognitive test.
Yes, because I had no help. He's a piece of shit. I'm gonna shut my eyes for 9 seconds, and when I open them, you tell me if he's dead. Hang on. Okay, that was a very short nap. Is he
Holy
still alive?
crap. No, he died, dude.
Oh yes. No,
If only it worked that way.
This episode is brought to you by the Terror Industrial Complex. Are you afraid of being thrown into a concentration camp? If you aren't, then we aren't doing our job. The Terror Industrial Complex. Be frightened today.
We are lucky and honored to have Steve Hofstetter on our podcast today. Steve, give us a little backstory on who you are for the folks that might not know.
I was born in I'm a stand-up comic who also doesn't shut up about being politically progressive. And, I'm spending a whole bunch of time fighting fascism right now, and I really miss doing silly jokes. And,
Yeah.
Now's not the time, I guess. If people know me, they usually know me from my video. Eddie F. once described me as you might know this next comic from your inbox.
Right.
I have almost 4 million followers on various platforms, nominated for a Nobel Prize, that sort of thing.
Nobel Prize.
I was.
Yeah. I nominated him for one. So I didn't tell you that.
Oh, are you?
That's the only reason he's doing the podcast. He owes me one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It actually is crazy. So many more people have nominating privileges than people realize. It's just most people don't use. It's
Right.
there.
How do you what do you have to have a nominating privilege?
So obviously the nominating committee can nominate, but
Right.
also tenured professors in various different disciplines can nominate.
Really?
I don't know, the specifics of all the different disciplines, but that's how I got nominated. There was a professor at FSU that nominated me for my charity work during the pandemic. I didn't even have a chance of making the shortlist. Like the way it works is usually about 200 to 300 people get nominated every year. About 20 make the shortlist. There was no way I was making the shortlist, let alone winning, but it is fun to, and this is uncensored, right?
Oh, for sure.
Of course.
Yeah. Just making sure, because it's a fun little party trick now. Like, and I say party trick like I go to parties, but I mean like digitally. So there was once I was, getting into it on Twitter before I left because it's a cesspool. I was getting into it on Twitter with Marjorie Taylor Greene, And I said, I don't know how many Nobel Peace Prize nominees have ever told you to go fuck yourself, but it's one more than it used to. And now that, she and Donald Trump seem to have been having a divorce, it's probably two.
It's time
So-
for you to make up with MTG. It feels like now
no, she's still a horrible, horrible human being.
That's actually why we brought you on here. We want you to. She's actually here. No.
Oh yeah, she's backstage like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what is this?
Actually, true story. My niece who fought in Afghanistan, it was in the Marjorie Taylor Greene fan club, and my wife and I cut her out of our will.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That is wild.
Is that like when you say fan club? Is that like a thing? Like you get some sort of swag from? What is the fan club?
I saw her stuff on Facebook, and she's a member of the Marjorie Taylor Greene fan club. So I'm like,
Wow.
nope. I'd rather give my money to dogs.
Did you at least check that it wasn't like sarcastically or it wasn't a troll?
Yeah.
Oh no, there's no sarcasm in that girl.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. No, she's not even sarcasm adjacent.
Yeah,
Wow.
just making sure, because I have interacted with some pretty unsavory personalities online, but it's all in the, it's all pro freedom and anti-fascism. So just making sure.
We are in a time where it's getting harder and harder to tell who's being sarcastic, who's being for real, who's being sincere. And so now we spend a good part of our time just trying to like weed that out, which is frustrating.
Yeah, I think part of it is also like, and I try to be good about this on Threads, especially, where like check the profile before replying just to make sure that, someone's not doing a bit.
Right.
But that said, if someone's doing a really difficult to discern bit, it's not your fault if you don't get it.
The bit should be good enough that you understand they're doing. Like the point of a bit is to be understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild to me that like, as a stand-up comic, if my audience doesn't find a joke funny, it's my fault.
Yeah.
And then if someone tells me a joke after a show and I don't find it funny, it is also my fault.
As long as you're willing to take responsibility, I mean, I think that proves that you're a good man.
It's completely on me.
Oh, we should always ask before we get any further, are you in the Epstein files?
Absolutely not. In fact, my last name is only in it 4 times because there was a person with my last name who was convicted of some other crime that came up in an article. Like I'm not even remotely in it.
So I actually, funny, because I was thinking this morning, like I actually haven't checked if I'm in the Epstein file. It's not something that I actively, I mean, very unlikely.
Oh,
but
I have enough people who are mad at me online for making fun of MAGA that I'm going to hear about.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It is something I am actually immensely proud of something. So I did not know that Epstein, apparently big stand-up fan, was a regular at the Palm Beach Improv, was a regular at the Comedy Cellar in New York, talked about stand-up an awful lot. In the time where people like monsters like Bobby Slayton were kissing his ass and taking him to dinner and etc., he was regularly going to shows. He was regularly, checking out comedians. And I was touring in Florida then. I performed at the Boca Black Box several times. And he never came to one of my shows. He never mentioned me, was never interested. And I am so proud that someone like him did not find me funny.
Yeah, that's
I'm still in shock that I did not know. I know Bobby, but I haven't seen him in years. I'm shocked he went out to dinner with Epstein, and he was
not just out to dinner with Epstein. He was like, he's all over the files.
Oh no,
he's in the files over 2,000 times. And in fact, there was one email that like I did look at the files because I was curious. I was like, let me look up, like I heard this stuff about him talking about stand-up a lot. And I was like, let me look into this. And I looked for like words that, would pop out, improv and comedy and things like that. And this one email popped up that was basically, it was from a comedian pretty much begging him to come to a show, was saying, hey, I'm going to be at the Fort Lauderdale Improv on this date, and I'd love to see you again. And thank you so much for dinner and, all this stuff. And I put this out to my followers. It's like, who the fuck is this? who is this opportunistic asshole, blah, blah, blah. And it turned out also Slayton. It was
my
Bobby Slayton.
God. I know he was tight with Woody Allen, so that explains some more.
Yeah. Did you see Renan Hirschberg's joke about Woody Allen in the Files? It's one of the best written jokes I've ever seen. Renan Hirschberg wrote a joke about the Files where he said,
okay. I thought you said it was in the Files. I'm like, oh, there's
no, about Woody
resources I
Allen
didn't know
being in
about.
the Files.
I got you. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
cheating, the cheating on the daughter joke?
Yes.
Brilliant. One of the funniest jokes I've
Renan
ever
is
seen.
not
Yes,
is not in
I
the
did see that
Files.
joke. Yeah, she wouldn't be in there because it was something about he wouldn't cheat on his daughter or something.
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brilliant joke.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, this whole conversation is kind of making me want to dive in and see what other people you might, because there are people you might have crossed paths with in this industry
I think
that are in there that you just would have no idea.
I think everyone should search terms from their industry. I saw Laura High, who's a great comedian, but she also does a lot of advocacy work about basically. I'm trying to think of the exact right term. What used to be called test tube babies, but is now like artificial. I don't know the right term, and I don't want to. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth on this.
In vitro fertilization, IVF?
Not just in vitro, but also, science-induced babies, I guess.
Okay.
More than just in vitro.
SIBs.
Yeah, exactly. Sibs. Sibs.
Sib.
That's what sibling comes from. That's what the term.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. It means little sib.
Little sib.
Oh, but she posted a great video where she found out, because Epstein had this whole obsession with getting cryogenically frozen. And she posted this video where she found this allegedly reputable place in California. I think it was called California Cryogenics or something like that. I don't want to, implicate something that's not there. But she found this in the files where they were doing business with him well after he was indicted.
Wow.
And I think everyone in every industry should search terms in their industry, big people in their industry, etc., to see who was, even something like what bank was giving him loans, what construction company was working for him, what everything, to know who did not care that, because he was in 2008 was when he was arrested and indicted.
You might end up with 3 companies that you can actually still do business with.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're all just going to be shopping and living at Costco.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly. It's gonna be like my local mom and pop shoe repair. It's gonna be the only place I can go.
You're going to look it up. You'd be like, no, Geppetto.
Exactly. I feel like now that I've had this conversation, I haven't done my due diligence to sort of go in there and look into stuff.
I warn you.
I think it's too icky. It's a little icky and kind of not really something I'm interested in diving into too much. But
it is heartbreaking. There are, while I was looking at, because I'm looking up terms literally, I'm looking up the word improv because he went to the Palm Beach Improv a bunch. And I'm looking up the word comedy because for it to come up. And even just looking up those terms, I saw this horrific exchange between someone who was clearly a victim and him about him basically pimping her out to someone. And it was just because it was after a comedy show. And that's why it was in there. And so only look through this stuff if you are able to, I guess, get the mental health help you will need afterward, because it's truly disgusting.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
I hate enough people anyway. I don't need to hate 1,000 more new people.
Yeah, you're full up right now.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm really, I would have to get rid of somebody that I hate to welcome a new hate.
I
Although
will definitely add to my hate list.
with this administration, though, it's not everything that happens is another little kind of crack in my mental health anyway. So it's not I'm not prepared. Like Brian said yesterday, I was like, oh, I'm so, because of the Pam Bondi thing, I was like, oh, I'm so angry. And Brian was like, I'll be more angry in 10 minutes. Right? That's this administration. Everything that happens makes me more and more angry. So I'm prepared for that type of anger and sickness.
Yeah. And one thing that I think is very important that not enough of us are doing is, there's that phrase that joy is resistance. And, you can doom scroll, but you still need the other things in your life, whether that is like, I just had a baby and that has been, most of my life for the last 3 weeks. And also today is when pitchers and catchers report, and I'm a big baseball fan. And so like, find the things in your life that'll allow you to stomach this ghoulishness, because you can't fight if you can't feel.
No, for sure. You can't get numb and you can't be all doom. You have to be looking for what it'll be like afterward. And there have to be things to go back to, some sense of like, we're going to go back to more good.
Oh God, I hope there's an afterward.
Yeah, there's yeah, there has to be an afterward.
Well, there will be an afterward. I don't know if it'll be like livable.
If we'll be involved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We might not be involved, or we will be involved. We just won't have access to electricity or bathrooms.
Is it the Futurama afterward? Is it the Blade Runner afterward? Like, what kind of afterward are we talking about?
I got a question for you. Is it,
Yeah.
do you find it's more cathartic and better for you, or more helpful for you, I should say, the comedy that you do, or the like sincere rants that you're doing? In other words, I know you kind of weave politics into your comedy, or there's some element of it, but like, what do you feel is more effective for you to have a voice?
That's interesting. Well, see, my stand-up isn't particularly political. It's always written from a progressive standpoint, but like the material I'm doing right now is for the most part about being a new dad and the journey from someone who didn't want kids to someone who very much did.
Yeah.
And, but in that bit, or in that set, I still do, like, I have a bit where I talk about how I'm gerrymandering my house. And it's
That's really
like,
funny.
thank you. There are like aspects of it that'll always intertwine. I think the stuff that makes the most impact is, the direct videos that are passionate with a little bit of humor.
Yeah.
I found I will happily take credit for Madison Cawthorn's loss in his primary, because I did a video detailing all of the garbage that he's done as a person. And I use the term person loosely. And he got millions of views. I put it on a few days before the primary. He lost by, I think, 7,000 votes. And I had multiple people messaging me saying, I don't normally vote in primaries, but I went specifically to vote against him. And so
Right.
like that kind of, you can have that kind of impact. And, one thing I often say is, when I do get into the weeds of it, whether it is, like responding to someone, which, for the most part is usually just for a good screenshot, or producing video, I'm not trying to change the mind of some troglodyte on the internet who may not even be a real human. I am trying to give talking points to someone who's going to go speak to their family at Thanksgiving.
Right.
I'm
Like actual
trying to
helpful,
simplify it for them.
not insults, but actual, positive information that can be used for action.
Now, that said, the insults are quite fun.
No, because somebody said to me the other day, they said, you don't seem to have a lot of MAGA followers. What? And I do. I've just blocked them. And they said, well, you're preaching to the choir. What's the point? And I said, the point is, number one, if you're angry, you'll get up off your couch and do something. And
Yes.
number two, you can take my talking points. You can take any material I post, and you can use it to, like you said, talk to a coworker that's MAGA, or maybe you get a different idea. Because I don't plan on, if somebody's been hypnotized by this fucking asshole for 10 years, I'm not going to erase all that damage with a sentence.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm hoping there's a sentence. But I look at it this way. It's similar to, people will get on like celebrities about, doing public philanthropy and how, it's just for their image and blah, blah, blah. And like, no, it is influence. The reason I do as much philanthropy as I do is because I saw other people doing it. And I was like, wow, that looks really cool. And that's something I'd like to take part in. And so when you do public advocacy, you are encouraging other people to do the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I always hear, why do you post and rant and go out and say things when it's like Brian just said, preaching to the choir, or it's an echo chamber or whatever. And my argument's always like, if you don't do something, then you're doing nothing. And if you're doing nothing, then you're kind of enabling. I mean, you have to do things in the world in order to move things forward, society forward.
Absolutely. But also, like, just because the majority of your following agrees with you, that's not how the algorithm works.
Right.
Like, because the majority of your following agrees with you, then it gets shown to other people who view
Similar
content
things.
similar
Right,
to theirs.
right, right.
And it also gets shown to people who view that, like, when they share your stuff, you know, their uncle in rural Nebraska might see it. And
Right.
you would have no way of reaching that guy before then. And the fact of the matter is everything we know because we learned it from somewhere. Now, it is getting harder to permeate people's preconceived notions than it used to be, for sure. But there are also plenty of people whose notions come from the first thing they see about a subject. And so if you can show them the information first, then when someone lies to them about it, that lie won't be as implanted as it would have been otherwise.
That's a great point.
It's just
And
funny
there-
because I feel like, I don't know, and I'm mistaken for sure because it clearly isn't the case, but I feel like we've reached a point where people are so entrenched on either side that there are so few people that are just kind of ignorant or don't have the information or just don't have an opinion, but it's clearly not the case. But it just feels that way in our society where we're just...
No, the people who are ignorant and don't have an opinion aren't the ones out there loudly saying so. That's why we're not seeing it.
Right. They're just invisible to a certain extent.
Yeah, no one's going on threads going, I don't know what to believe. Like,
Yeah.
like if there's one thing I know, it's I'm not sure.
Right.
And so like we don't see that person. But okay, I'll give you an example from this week. There is this very dumb post that's been floating around. A tax professor at NC State wrote an article for Forbes saying that Sam Darnold lost money on the sport tax in California because the Super Bowl was held in California.
Oh my gosh.
And all of people, well, here's the thing. All of these people are posting it and saying it's true and blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of true if you don't know anything about football. What the kernel of truth in it is when you make $30 million a year, as he does, and you go work in California for a week, you then have to pay that percentage of taxes in California, which is going to be much higher than if you were not working there. So if he didn't make the Super Bowl and he wasn't working anywhere that week, his tax burden would not be as high. Okay. However, if you know anything about football, you know that the people who make $30 million a year also have enormous performance bonuses in their contract. Darnold's, for instance, paid him $2.5 million for winning the Super Bowl. So the $200,000 or so extra he had to pay on taxes, yeah, it negated his league Super Bowl bonus, but he's doing okay.
Yeah.
So if you read that Forbes article first, you are then inclined to believe the dumb thing posted in that article. If you listen to what I just said first, when you see the Forbes article, you go, look at it, kook. What a dummy. He doesn't know anything about football.
But everything is like nuanced and there's always layers to, I mean, that's the problem is that, you know, you read a headline, you see something floating around the internet, you believe it. There's always some truth and there's always some other information that you need to have to actually understand the full story in any story, really. I mean, that's what we're up against because you have to actually dive into things and understand and learn in order to really understand an issue.
Well,
Yeah,
also
you
you
also have to have the ability to
Well, sure,
understand.
yeah.
Learn.
But
Intellectual ability.
you need to be
Yeah.
curious, though.
Yeah.
A friend of mine watches CBS News and just charts the stories, the national news. They spend 8 minutes on Nancy Guthrie, and this is a half-hour newscast. 8 minutes on Nancy Guthrie, something about somebody who drove a car through the mall that actually happened, 2 weeks before. And they just went through and no mention of Epstein, no mention of anything of relevance. It was all like Entertainment Tonight. And I was shocked, how he did like this for 3 or 4 days. And there was nothing relevant to anything. It was all fluff, 100% fluff.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
as
actually
someone
their
who went
slogan.
to,
Their new slogan's 100% fluff.
yeah, their Marshmallow Fluff should sponsor them.
Yes.
As someone who went to school with Barry Weiss, I can tell you that it's a terrible thing that they hired her.
Yeah.
I Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who aren't curious. And look, I am someone who I love the idea of being right. I am very stubborn about being right. There are two types of people like that. One, someone like me who goes, anytime I have any inkling I might not know something, I double check so that I am never wrong. Or the type of person who just surrounds themselves with people who believe the same thing, and thus they never feel wrong. And I think that's
internet. The problem is the internet. The average internet browser scroller is unable to discern the difference between those two types of people. And that's where I think the majority of our problem lies in this country, because you're not diving in yourself. You're just either listening to someone say something who actually has the knowledge or say something that just thinks they have the knowledge.
This episode is brought to you by fake outrage. Have something that you want to use as a cultural wedge? Try fake outrage. Fake outrage. It's not about the facts, it's about the volume.
Well, so Danny Jollis, who's a very wonderful comedian, he and I were roommates many years ago. And it was like as right-wing podcasts were really starting to pop. And I said to him, I was like, I don't understand this. Because when podcasts first started becoming a thing, I assumed this would be an innately progressive medium. The idea of people who actively want to learn, who want to hear other people's opinions, this is an actively left-wing thing. And he said something that blew my mind, which is the people who support these podcasts aren't trying to learn someone else's opinion. They're trying to learn their own. And that blew my mind. The idea that like they're being told what to think. They're not listening to something and going, you know, that does make me think about this. Let me check. Let me dive deeper into this, blah, blah, blah. They're just going, Joe said it, so it's true. And those are two different types of people.
It feels good to get some information validated that you think you know. It's like there's an endorphin or some sort of chemical in your brain that makes you feel good. I think that's part of the problem.
Well, I think also part of the problem is it is so easy to transmit fake information. This was on like 5 or 6 of my reliably meticulous friends' posts, and it was basically a meme, which you can make in 5 seconds, of something that sounds like something Thomas Massie could have said about the Epstein files, but he didn't fucking say it. And then I wrote on everybody's wall, I'm like, that's not true. Please take it down.
Yeah, there was when that quote was going around after, you know, Rob Reiner was tragically murdered and Donald Trump immediately politicized it. There was that alleged quote that was going around where, you know, about Rob Reiner glorifying Charlie Kirk's death. And it was obviously so incorrect and stupid. And what I would do is whenever I would see it, I would reply and I would just say, when and where did he say this? And they would never have an answer because he never said it. There's no attribution. There's no, it's someone just put words on a picture and said it's true. And a bunch of idiots just decided, well, I want this to be true, so it is true. And the fact is, if I read something that I don't immediately know to be true, I look for a second source and I look for a specific on it. If it's a quote, find out when and where it was said and to whom. Don't just accept that it was said.
But I thought you said you don't have any time.
Well, why do you think I have no time?
Oh, okay. All right. Breaking a hole in that myth.
But that's how.
No, I know
like,
what you mean. Yeah.
when I am producing content. I know you're just messing with me, but like when I am producing content, I double check it every single time. The most recent video I just posted was about ICE leaving the Twin Cities, and someone told me that earlier this morning, who I very much trust. And I was like, wow, I would love to do a video on that. Let me look it up. And so I looked up a couple different articles about it, read through them, saw who said what and when and what the deadlines are and blah, blah, blah before I made the content, instead of just being like, yeah, hey, I heard this. It must be true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, also I think the more followers you have, the more responsibility you have I mean, if you're just putting something out and you have like 8 people, but if you're influencing people, it's very important in a sense, you're a journalist and you have to be accurate.
Well,
These
I'm going to push
days-
back on that, though, because stuff goes viral that you could never suspect these days. And while I know that, like, everything I post will get eyeballs, anything anyone posts could get eyeballs.
Yeah.
And so we should all be approaching
Oh,
it with
for
the same
sure,
level
for
of
sure.
responsibility.
But I don't think people think that they're going to get eyeballs.
Before that stupid Somali daycare video, Nick Shirley was a very small YouTuber. And he posted that video. And by the way, before that, he also like went to Ukraine and said there was no war. I mean, this is just
Oh, he's a fucking asshole. Sorry, my
Yeah.
blood pressure just went up like 50 points.
that's what I mean,
Honestly,
fine.
God knows how many people he was responsible for killing in Ukraine.
Yeah, but also
He's responsible for killing hundreds at least.
Yeah, and he is directly responsible for the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Because if it weren't for the firestorm that stupid video set off, you wouldn't have had a bunch of other right-wing people descending upon Minneapolis, claiming that every building is like there was one video that he did where he like went to a market that sold a bunch of different things, and he's like, "Look at all this stuff under one roof. This has got to be fake." And I'm like, "You never been to a store? You don't know what a store is? Oh my God! Imagine if he ended up at the Mall of America." But because of that, that's why ICE did what they did specifically in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And the tie from Nick Shirley's dumb video, from a dumb aspiring YouTuber to the deaths of American citizens is direct. And
Yeah.
so I hope that the people who are listening realize the responsibility we all have.
And also, the whole fraud thing was led by a white lady.
Absolutely.
A white lady.
And like, look, is there fraud? Of course there's fraud. There's fraud in every industry. Everywhere has fraud. This is not a surprise. They're acting like it's a big gotcha. Is there fraud from every person who has brown skin? No. And the suggestion that there is just bald-faced bigotry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have people like Rick Scott who, fleeced Medicaid and Medicare for billions of dollars, like chiming in too.
Yeah,
which
and
is
was
insane.
never punished.
Never
In fact,
punished.
they were fined less than they stole.
Way
I mean,
less.
the president has been convicted of a felony for fraud.
Yeah.
So
34.
it's like, I mean, that's where we're at. Our standard is that, we have someone who's actually been convicted of fraud, accusing
Yeah.
other people of fraud.
Yeah, but only 34 counts. Come on, Tom.
No, you're right. I mean, that is minimal. Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like it was 38 counts. That would have been something.
Or 38,000.
Raskin said it's 1 million unredacted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just in half the files.
Right. In
Yeah.
3 million pages. Yeah, exactly.
So you got to figure that the other half has even more mentions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a fun stat. If the over million is correct, that means they redacted his name over 96% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But I'm sure that's just because he was an FBI.
No, it's actually,
Oh, yeah.
someone said that, again, this is a someone said, but like apparently there's more mentions of Trump than Epstein. The word itself is in there more than the word Epstein. But I
Yeah.
don't know if
Now, part of that might be because, you don't refer to yourself in the third
no,
person
exactly.
as much.
Exactly.
The whole thing is truly disgusting.
Yeah. And more times than Jesus is mentioned in the Bible, too.
Yeah.
way
more
more.
times than Harry Potter in all
yeah.
the books.
Yep. All those memes
Yep.
are floating around. Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts. I mean, it's hard to
One other-
know how this is going to end. I mean, what's going to happen? It's like we're in
Well-
this suspended animation of trying to figure out how this is going to unfold.
Yeah, this is the equivalent of like them busting up like a car theft ring where they've stolen thousands of cars, like a chop shop that's stolen thousands of cars and then resold them. And then they don't arrest anyone who did it other than the person who owned the shop.
Yeah.
Like none of the people
Yeah.
who were buying the stolen stuff,
Yeah.
none of the people who were breaking it down, who were rebuilding it. Like there are so many people who were involved. And the idea, like, if this administration were immoral but not stupid, they would have found 3 or 4 people to pin it on and just arrested them as co-conspirators and been like, look, we got them. But the idea that they are so immoral and so dumb, they haven't arrested a single person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the 6 people's names that Ro Khanna said, was it yesterday or the day before? Again, those names seem insignificant.
Well, I don't even know if
Well,
a couple of them were like, it seemed like a couple weren't even US citizens.
the
Yeah.
Sultan is pretty significant. And Lex Wexner is pretty significant.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But the
I mean,
average
Lex
American doesn't
Wexner,
know who they are.
yeah, Lex Wexner owns half of Ohio. But like the idea that we have not seen anyone punished from this, and as much as Pam Bondi is going to lie about this and etc., like sometimes we forget there are other countries out there, and those other countries are prosecuting the shit out of this right now.
I've heard that they're going to be doing something, and the spidey sense kind of like, ooh, will this come back to get, to get Trump? And
A lot of the victims were European. And so those countries are going after the co-conspirators.
right.
In the UK, Keir Starmer might have to resign, and he's not
I
even in the
know.
files.
He's not in the files. I read that. I'm like, oh,
He
come on.
may have to
really?
resign just because he has appointed people and worked with people who were very clearly involved in the files. So far, the person who, in the US who has suffered the most, who was part of this, is probably Casey Wasserman, just because he lost Chaperone as a client.
Yep.
Like, the idea that we're not punishing people more directly from this, and not just that we're not right now, but that they have had a lot of this information for decades. And the idea that they had an email from someone actively being like, hey, love that torture video, and they didn't do anything about that,
Right.
just shows how deep this corruption goes. And for the people who are like, well, but what about Merrick Garland didn't do anything? Yeah, he didn't. And
Right.
Yeah,
fuck
because he
that.
sucks.
And
Yeah.
the what about Bill Clinton? Yeah, exactly. If Bill Clinton's involved, fucking lock him up.
That's
Yeah,
the difference
exactly.
between Republicans and Democrats. We don't care if the person that did the crime was quote unquote on our team. They do.
Yeah. We removed a senator for taking a joke picture where he wasn't even touching a woman.
Right.
So you think that we are not going to lock people up for actual
Yeah.
rape, torture, and murder? You're damn right. We
Yeah, like-
ended Anthony Weiner's career. We ended Andrew Cuomo's career. And we will continue to do things like that.
Gary Hart was on a boat.
Yeah.
And he couldn't be president.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
I
well,
miss those
And
days.
and Howard Dean
The dean,
went-
yeah, the yell.
no, it was 2 Tom, don't argue with me. It was 2 octaves too high. I mean, you have to have respect.
Yeah.
So I had never watched Boston Legal before, and my wife and I got into it over the last month or so, and kind of watched it from start to finish. And if you've never seen the show, it was basically 2004 to 2008, and they talk a lot about politics. They talk a great deal about the war. They talk a great deal about Bush. They cover when Obama was elected. And a lot of the things that they were talking about, that the right was doing and that Bush was doing and all this insidious stuff, I was watching it and I had 2 reactions. I mean, aside from the fact it's a very good show, but I had 2 main reactions. One was, oh man, a lot of this stuff laid the groundwork for what we're dealing with now. All of this, like, we've got to suspect everyone of being a terrorist, and we've got to remove remove some people's rights in order to protect us, and blah, blah, blah. But also watching it and seeing what they were so mad about, what they were saying was the end of the world, and seeing what we're going through now, and just being like, oh my God, I actually miss George
It was
Bush.
quaint. Yeah.
Well, now they're going after Randy Fine is going after Bad Bunny because some of the dancers may have been twerking too much.
Right.
Oh,
Gay-
yeah. And
I mean, these
he-
people are fucking
He's calling it
assholes.
gay pornography. That's what
yeah,
Randy
the people who are like, did you see what his lyrics said? I'm like, I thought you couldn't speak Spanish. And there's a difference between a radio edit of a song and the uncensored song. And what he did was the radio edit, because he's doing this on television, on international television. The same way that, like, when Green Day did the opening, they bleeped when they said fuck.
Yeah.
Because that stuff doesn't air. And so it's the same clutching the pearls when we think of the children, and then we show them, be like, here's actually a bunch of children who got raped and tortured. And they're like, no, we didn't mean those children.
Well, hypocrisy is the currency. I mean, hypocrisy and cruelty are the currency, and those are the 2 main facets.
As they say, not a bug, it's a feature.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
One other story that just came out that is also probably going to slip through the cracks is the Gallup poll is stopping after 88 years for president approval ratings. And I wonder why that's happening.
Well, it's hard
Yeah.
to, it's
I-
hard to list a negative rating.
Yeah, I know. But the fact that he has his fingers in, he wants to have new kickoff rules for football. He wants to put his, his stench on halftime shows. He wants to, like, his fingers are everywhere.
Everything. He has to meddle in everything.
Well,
Yeah.
he's trying to rename Penn Station after himself.
Yes.
And and as someone who grew up in Queens, I'm like, if anything should be named after Trump, it's Port Authority.
Yeah.
First of all, who's going to take a train into douchebag station?
Yeah, exactly. If you're like, welcome to Douchebag Station, transfer here for Ronkonkoma.
Exactly.
His ego knows no bounds. And look, maybe I'm an optimist, but seeing these special elections flip blue in districts that had no chance.
Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, I mean, everywhere.
Tennessee 7 was such a, if that is a bellwether, it's not just that the midterms will be a majority, it's that their redistricting will fuck them. Because basically what they did with redistricting was they took, the basic math is like, if you take 5 90% Republican districts and 90% Democratic districts, and instead you make 9 52% Republican districts and 100% Democrat district, or whatever the math bears out to, then you'll get 9 Republicans instead, unless elections swing by more than 5 points, which it looks like they are doing.
Exactly. In
And
Mexico, they could not even get a Republican senator to qualify for the ballot. So the Democratic senator is running unopposed for the first time.
That is incredible. I mean, it is something that, like, if we, and I've been, I've been qualifying it with the if the whole time, if we get to midterms, all we need to do is get to midterms.
That's the thing, though. I mean, it's scary that we have to have that asterisk, because if we get the midterms, if we do the midterms and they're actually done correctly, and I know he can't meddle in every state and states run elections, but I don't know what kind of machinations are going on behind the scenes to try to prevent this from happening.
Yeah, like, look, if we don't get to midterms, there will be violence in the streets.
Well,
It's
sure.
as simple as that.
Yeah.
People aren't going to be okay with that. But at the same time, if you look at public pressure, public pressure is why ICE is leaving Minnesota. Public pressure is why Greg Bovino has a desk job. Public pressure works. And this is something where a lot of companies mistakenly believed that when Trump won, that this was a mandate. And not to offend any Republicans with the concept of a man on a date, but I know that idiot congressman's going to sue me, but what they are now learning is they were wrong. And it was manipulation. And, whether that was gerrymandering or voter suppression, or out and out cheating, it was manipulation. And I think society is starting to swing back the other way pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
and
we
no,
should-
but I'm sorry, and this is the last thing I'll say. The SAVE Act passed in the House, and if the SAVE Act passes in the Senate, we're fucked, because then women have to produce birth certificates, and if their last name doesn't match their husband's last name, it could be a complete mess.
It could be a mess, but it is one of these things. And, I hope that pressure on the Senate actually works, but it is something where there's too much for them to escape right now. And, maybe I'm an optimist, but if you can cheat to swing an election by 15 points, but you were going to lose by 25, you're still going to lose. And there will come a certain point where all the cheating that they do won't even matter, because it'll be so overwhelming.
Right, the more cheating, the more people know about the cheating, that'll maybe bring out more people to vote against them, and so that cheating won't work. That's what we're talking about.
That is the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still going to cheat, but maybe it won't work as well.
Oh yeah, they're going to
Yeah.
try, but it doesn't mean they'll succeed.
Yeah. Well, Steve, really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging with us. You got to get back to your little one.
Thank you so much, Steve. And I'm glad that
appreciate it.
I'm glad that you're an optimist. And I'm glad that well, you have to be an optimist. You have a newborn.
Not you, Brian. You're just the deepest pessimist of all. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you're on our side and doing all the great work that you do.
Yeah.
Well,
Appreciate it.
thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. And, let's keep up the pressure together.
Indeed.
Awesome.
Thanks. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Right is Wrong with Brian and Tom. Please follow us on social media and anti-social media. But please don't follow us while we're running errands. We're paranoid enough as it is. See you next time, human beings.